Welcome to the Regulars podcast. This is part two. We're looking at the other internationals that happened this weekend. We'll look at some news. There's been some big developments at World Rugby with the Nations Championship happening. Whoa, next year. Shaun is with us. He was almost
I
not with
nearly,
us there.
Hi, I nearly fell off my chair.
That is literally, as a son of a school teacher, this is, I can just hear my dad saying, this is what happens when you rock on your chair. So, Shaun, you got your just desserts there almost.
I'm awake.
You're awake. That's good. Sure. Let's then start with, I guess, the match of the weekend, which is England beating New Zealand 33 points to 19. Very interesting game in a lot of ways. I mean, New Zealand came out with the lead early on. It seemed like England kind of squandered their chances, but England had a really good second half to come back into the game and then to effectively dominate it at the end.
It was an unbelievable performance. This was England's final. They, I really feel that this was their target game. Just the talk in the week, there was even the conversation that they had something planned for the haka, which they brought out. Like when you do that, then you have a target. Like there's something going on there. I really felt the way they managed the game. They never ever lost track of what the plan was. Like keep the main thing. And they were under pressure and they just managed to push it through. There was no doubt in my mind that England targeted the last 20, 30 minutes with the bench that they named. And that was their clear plan. What I wasn't expecting was how well the starting pack did, specifically the front row. They weren't as bad as people made them out to be. I kind of fell into that. I was like, oh, maybe they're going to get steamrolled. And then the whole thing was about how England can't be 15 plus points behind. Like if they were 12 points behind with 20 minutes to go, I could see them winning. It was just about maybe staying in touch. And it so worked out that that wasn't even necessary because, like George Ford, it just turned out perfectly. Ford, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then once I got that upper hand, once went into halftime close, I think that was literally all England needed. The halftime chat was already sorted because the plan was still to be rolled out, but they were a point or two behind or something. I can't remember, but it was minor. Like, and then you just kind of like everyone just was like, cool. The plan was not the first half, the plan was the second half. But our first half was so good that we don't need to worry about anything. We just need to have conversations about little nuances in the game that we need to fix, etc., etc. And they went out and did it.
Yeah. Look, George Ford obviously was player of the match. I didn't think he had the best first half, but then he took those two drop goals really well. He got England back into the game scoreboard wise because then it's not 5-12 that you're behind, it's 11-12. And you can kind of start the second half being like, okay, it's only 1 point, guys. We can sort of do our own thing instead of you're chasing the game because I maybe somewhat disagree with you, Shaun, where I don't know if England are able to mentally sort of put things together to chase a game properly, like if it was 12 points behind and 20 minutes left. But they managed to scoreboard well with that. And then I think they just really made sure that New Zealand was playing rugby in the wrong areas of the field. Like New Zealand have a problem where, and Australia has a similar problem. I don't know if it's a Super Rugby thing, where they just love playing rugby in the
Shots
middle of the
fired.
field. Like
Shots fired.
but I mean, genuinely, it's just like they played about 75% of the game in between the 22s and just a lot of like ponderous attack and what is happening here? Where's this going? Like we're just passing and sort of just making very little meters. And with Mitchell and with George Ford, like they're just kicking really well out of hand and just making sure that they are getting into the right halves. I think Mitchell was top for kicking meters in this game, and we're getting our stats from Ultimate Rugby this week. And he had the most meters out of anyone in the internationals this weekend. And obviously his role is important with that and just keep making sure that England's playing in the right areas of the field. So I think kicking game went well. They obviously put a lot of pressure on the scrums. I think Hayes and Baxter are coming through well. Um, And then, yeah, look, this Pom Squad situation, I don't know about the name, but it worked well. Like
It's here to stay.
and that is very sad. But but look, if they can still change it around a little bit, but having six lines coming off the bench is crazy. Having Gage, Cowan-Dickie, and Stewart as a front row all coming off the bench is crazy. Like you have Tom Curry, and he can throw his body around for 30 minutes instead of the normal 80 minutes. Pollock, I mean, we talked about in the other pod that Austin Healy made the claim that Pollock is the best impact player in the world. I think he should maybe slow his roll a little bit, but he's obviously great as an energizer player in those situations. Like, I think they could have thrown Spencer a lot earlier. I don't know why they persisted with Mitchell, especially with Mitchell's defense, but that's another story. Marcus Smith obviously did really well at fullback because he had to play it for most of the game. So you have like this 23 now that is really good. And obviously, still missing quite a few players. So, you can still add Martin and Chesum to this. You can still add, Tommy Freeman. So, like, there's still players that can be added to this. And like England now has got themselves to a place where they have a really strong 23. And yeah, that's obviously great for them.
I I was surprised not only with Spencer coming on so late. There was a time 10 minutes before that where Mitchell looked a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Like he just looked like fatigued is the probably the more accurate way. I am surprised it took Borthwick so long to put this bench on. I I I really there was a time with like 30 minutes to go where you're like England can change it up now. This is this is what we talk about when we talk about Rassie making big decisions and stuff. Coaches want to do something. I even spoke about it about Borthwick. Like he wants to do something. He names a team, and then he has time to think about it. And then he's like, "Oh, I made a mistake. I must play within myself." Like no one really does that. Pushes the boat out, makes early changes. That bench, that bench was designed to come on 50 minutes, the whole bench, and then just absolutely smoke guys. But there were a couple guys that played really well, like that looked like so Dingwall's one of them. Dingwall had his
Okay.
best game ever. He dovetailed that with Ollie Lawrence, who is cooking at the moment. Um, so that was good. Ford was scratchy in the first half, but I really thought he kicked well. I thought he directed things well, didn't get rattled by anything. And then he had Mitchell take a load off with most of the kicks, or the distance kicks. Mitchell also has the ability to not kick so well. So like that worked in their favor too. Losing Stewart, I feel for the guy because he was on track to have a man of the match game. He was, t I just thought he played really well and he lasted 21 minutes, went off for HIA, didn't come back. So I feel for him. Marcus Smith played well. So I just thought they did well there. Pepper is going to be a machine. Pepper's going to be that guy that stays there for a while. And then Anil and Earl together were great. I thought Coles had a pretty decent game. I know I was kind of umming and ahhing about him. He was pretty handy. England came out and they did well. And what they did was they dictated things. They like I hear what you say about them not really chasing the game well, especially against an All Black team who are the kings of being in front and just then keep the forearm on the throat. So I feel that if England were down more, that bench would have come on sooner. But Borthwick has pushed guys longer. Like he didn't need to. This is a 23-man, 33-man kind of a game where you really got to rotate and sort it out.
Mhm.
The problem for me in this game was all the right players and then a couple extras were cooking for England. Like they were really doing well. The problem for me was New Zealand not answering that. They did not really just pull it in and do it. And I've seen a lot of people climb on Bowden Barrett. I don't think his time is done. I
Mhm.
think that he's really man alone often. Like if if you see him and he didn't maybe have the best game, you will very often find that his 12 is not having a great game. And that's not because of the distribution. It's because I just thought it didn't work. Like Quintupai wasn't what we expected. Proctor, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do at 13. Proctor's handy. You're missing out on Fanganuku on attack, but you're gaining on defense. It's a bit of a tough one. Roygaard was man alone, but also didn't have his best game. It was tough. I think losing Holland before kickoff was probably bigger than many people would realize.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, you've been maybe on the fence with Holland, so
Yeah.
that's a big thing to say.
Yeah, it's ironic that I'm saying that, but the last couple of games, like he's been cooking, and
Yeah,
then they lose him, and they clearly were designing everything around him and Barrett because
yeah.
that's the engine room, and they do so much.
Look, yeah, just on England players, just want to mention a few. One, I think this was a fantastic Maro Itoje game. And again, he does his work in the shadows, gets himself 2 turnovers, he gets himself 22 tackles. Like, he's just that guy that is in a game like this.
A bad game for Maro is 7 out of 10. Like, haven't seen him below a 7, and he was like probably an 8 this week.
Yeah, like, but in a game like this, he's like, I think what people usually say about like a Mostert or Peter Steph Toy, watch it again and you just see how much he's involved with everything. He always brings his game up for the New Zealand games, the South Africa games, like the big games in the calendar. So he was fantastic. I think it's a big thing for England that the likes of Dingwall, Coles, Baxter, Hayes, Pepper all probably had their best games for England. Like, these are not the guys that were first choice or even second choice even a year ago. And they've put themselves in a position to say, we are here to stay in Test rugby. Like, this is, I mean, New Zealand's, I think, were the third best team or second best team in the world before this game. And it's a big thing that those players were able to come through that test and to be, some of the best players on the field, to play to their full ability, to do as much as possible as they did. So I think that's a big positive. And I think, yeah, I mean, if England can sort of get some people back, that would be a big thing for them. The All Blacks, I feel like they kind of. I remember Dylan Jack, friend of the show. I think he tweeted this. He's a big Manchester United fan. He used to tweet us about Marcus Rashford. That Marcus Rashford he flips a coin before a game. He's either Pele or Theo Walcott. And that's basically how the coin lands. I think the New Zealanders are kind of now in this position where they're either the 2015 All Blacks or they're the Newcastle Falcons. Like, it's just no in between with them. Like, the first 20 to 30 minutes, they were fantastic. Like, they cut England apart. England's defense, especially out wide, looked really lacking. Like, they're just able to get themselves to the 22. They were absolutely messing up everything with the England lineout as well. Like, Josh Lord, the one good thing I think was it strengthened their lineout, and Josh Lord is a fantastic front jumper because he's just so damn tall. And they were like, Roygaard was on top of the kicking game, Bowden was on top of the kicking game. And then things just got lost with it just didn't seem like they were able to put their stamp on the game. So I mentioned before, they played way too much in between the 22s and just weren't really getting anywhere. Like, we've said this before, it feels like the New Zealand attack is really elite in the 22s, but in between that, it's just relying on individual moments. And there just wasn't anyone that was able to sort of do that big break themselves or exploit a mistake and then sort of get the try going. I think Bowden was injured from like the 25th, 30th minute. I don't know why he wasn't sent
Yes.
off because,
It's the same as Finn Russell last week. They can't take him off.
but
Like,
look, I get it with Scotland kind of like Tom Jordan, maybe don't trust him. Yeah, Damian McKenzie, like he's a very decent international fly off, if anything. Like, I don't know because he literally couldn't take do line kicks for penalties. He missed two, and then they did that weird tap and go on their 50-meter line in the second half. And I think that was because Bowden can't kick it out. And I was just like, okay, either have Jordan kick it out or sub Bowden off. Like, you can't now do a tap and go 50 meters away when you have a really good rolling ball. You have a really good attack, 22-meter attack, like you're really efficient, actually. Why would you do that? So I don't understand some of the decision making. I think when we talk about game management, that's what I'm just not quite getting from Scott Robertson. And then, yeah, I think you're right about outside backs. They just weren't really getting themselves into the game. They had some good moments at the start, and then I think Ollie Lawrence just dominated the centers. Like he was just able to impose himself. Even though I thought Proctor had a really good first half. I think it was maybe his best first half that he's had in the black
Yeah.
jersey. But Lawrence, I think the more the game went on, he was just able to impose himself. And although although I keep talking about their forwards being really good and they are probably the source of it for the All Blacks, and maybe it's because they've now played like for 10 months and they're getting tired. They just were second best in the England forwards today. And that's now the second time, well, actually the third time they've been second best in the forwards. They were second best against South Africa, even against the French fifth team, whatever the case was. They were second best for a lot of like the first test. So that's a problem for New Zealand. They need to just make sure they find the right balance with that because I think certain players played well. I think Lord had a good game. I think Barrett had a good game. I think Peter Lakai has been fantastic at number 8. I think he's made the number 8 jersey his own, but maybe not getting as much from Parker. Maybe the front row is not really contributing as much, maybe except for Taylor. Maybe the subs, if you don't have Lomax on the bench as your tight head, Tosi is not quite doing the same thing as Lomax would be doing. Like, obviously, New Zealand's losing more and more players every week. So the depth in that second half with their bench just wasn't really making impact on the game that they could have. So I do think maybe that could have been a factor as well.
First thing I'm going to say, that Cody Taylor yellow card was an absolute crock of shit.
I don't understand it.
It's a penalty. Like,
Yeah.
it's a penalty. I actually don't even have a problem with the TMO coming in to say it's penalty. Like, it doesn't faze me. The fact that it was a yellow card, I'm just like, what? What a crock of. But the problem is, I would keep Simon Parker there unless supervised back or someone else you need. Maybe even they need to try put Scott Barrett there on the side. I'm a big fan of that. Then you can have Lord and what's his face
Holland.
Holland play like that might be a shot. Maybe they're missing that, but I don't have a problem with Parker. I don't think that you can start a game with Satiti, Lakai, and Ardi in the Lucies. Like I
Yeah.
don't think the All Blacks are prepared for that, and they could probably only do it if Holland starts. Like you need to have two very hard-working locks. So Parker must stay. Leicester Ganuku, he makes a lot of like there's a lot of turnovers and handling errors there, but he is always trying to get involved. So there's that. Like you're always in the mix, you make mistakes that will be highlighted. I agree with you on Proctor. I don't think he had a bad game. I don't know what happened. Perhaps it was mainly resting on Quintupai and Barrett was definitely injured. Like I think they kept him on. They're like, if you can go longer, go because we don't want to bring Mackenzie on at
Really.
10 and leave at Jordan at 15 the whole game. But these are things like for every action, there's a reaction, and the reaction was not a good one.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like also the bench, like Ratimer, Leonard Brown. Uh, I didn't think this was a Leonard Brown kind of game. Very weird.
Yeah, short, sorry, very quickly. Was Roy Roygaard injured? Why was he subbed off at 45 minutes?
No idea. I don't know why.
Well,
Listen, he didn't have the best game, but he was doing something. That was actually, I completely forgot about that. Now you've just brought all those emotions back. I looked at that. I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, we give him shit last year for not making substitutes at all. Then he goes and takes freaking Roygaard off when Barrett's struggling. Like, bud, did you miss the memo? Did you like pick the wrong halfback? They both got the same name, halfback. I don't know. He made a mistake. Like, I would rather Roygaard went to 10 and Ratimer played at 9 and Barrett went off. You know what I mean? Like, it was
yeah.
such a bizarre thing.
I
So, yeah, it was
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, I think there must be something there because I just don't get why. Because I don't think that team is bad, but Roygaard's kicking just does so much for the All Blacks. Like he has,
When your 10 is not kicking,
yes.
that's even more important to know.
And the thing is, especially with the All Blacks sometimes committing to attacking in the 22s, like Roygaard is the person that can get a 50-22 like he did in this game. He's the person that can just get you into the other half. Like I don't know why you. Roygaard is someone for me. He has to play almost 66, 70 minutes. Like he's almost like that Antoine Dupont plan of you're only coming off when the game's either won or you're broken. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't quite understand what was happening there. I see Tupai actually had um oh, so he had 9 carries in this game. Actually, that's not too bad. I thought I saw something that said he had 4 carries, but they were getting the carries, they were getting some opportunities, but it just wasn't really impactful. Like it just didn't feel like they were getting past
No,
people or
they weren't.
creating opportunities. Like it seemed
They
like
ran into a
half of
strong Dingwall, which I don't think they were planning on.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because first 20 minutes, they just found space out wide the whole time. I thought it kind of looked like Roebuck was out of position, like he was a bit too narrow in the rush defense. Faber Bosa was missing tackles. I didn't even realize he had a bit of a problem with that. And then after that, it just seemed like they couldn't really get into their phases. But I think that was also because they just couldn't get themselves into the 22 because they're just playing too much rugby in between the two lines. So I don't know with Razor. I said earlier, the island game is enough for me because I'm assuming you're going to win against Scotland because it's Scotland. I'm assuming you're going to win against Wales. So you lose to England, it's the end of the year. You have so many injuries. I don't think it's a cause for concern, Sean. Whereas if they lost to both Ireland and England, obviously that's a different story. But I do think the manner of the loss is a bit concerning. Like I was thinking it was going to be like a last minute George Ford penalty kick or drop goal rather than England could have won it by 2, 3 tries if, like they had some opportunities at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the post-match, but they asked Scott Barrett like what moments swung it in the game, or can you think of anything that you could have done better? He goes, well, for one, Bowden missing touch. Such that wasn't a captain speaking. That was a brother speaking. That was a like I'm gonna tell my brother I'm unhappy with what he did. Um, yeah. So England problem solved those issues in the game.
Mhm.
They were getting exposed, and then they managed to fix it. Fairwear Boso does not bother me on defense. In terms of, I don't think he has a problem defending. He was a bit scratchy to start. I don't think it's an issue. Um, and Dingwall, yeah, he didn't have his best game, and everyone was just like banging the drum, going, "It's literally a copy paste for Freeman, so we'll be fine." So yeah, it was so. It was weird. It was a weird start. I also feel as much as England problem solved and managed that out wide problem, I feel that the All Blacks were like, oh, no, it's cool. We've got this. And
Mm.
they didn't manage things after that.
Yeah.
Like with the Barrett injury, with what was going on. Like they really were on top for a long enough period of the game that they could have finished it off. But the other thing I saw someone put on social, and it was actually a very good point, was so firstly, on the breakdown, Beaver said that he was actually surprised and shocked that he saw Ford going for the first drop kick. And it shows the different mindset that the teams have. England were trailing by 7.
Mm.
Like a drop kick, what, 35 minutes into the game, like 5 minutes before halftime, is such a great shot because like it brings you closer, it swings the momentum, it changes your psyche. Then he went and did it again, and that really put England on top. But what happened was, I saw someone on social said, you're not set up defensively deep in your 22 to protect a drop goal
Yeah. Of course.
in the first half. Sorry, in the first half. Towards the end of the game, you are. And I was like, that is actually that's a great point because you're not even thinking about it. Now you are, but then you're not. So much so that it happened and they're like, oh shit, they got 3 points. And then they came back and they got it done to them again. Brilliant by Ford. But 6 points, 5 minutes before half time in that period to get 6 points when you're 7 points down. Ha! Amazing.
Yeah. Look, the drop goal kind of came back this weekend. Prendergast had a really good drop goal. Pollard's drop goal got ruled out. Um, and Pollard's one was kind of like the Ford one where he just saw where the game was going. South Africa just need points. The attack is not really going somewhere. Just a really, I literally tweet or posted as it happened. I was like, Pollard's just the adult in the room. Like he just sees what's happening and it's just like, okay, let's calm things down. Let's do this.
Every player, every single player would have walked up, whether it was Ford or Pollard in that game, and just been like, thanks. Like, we really needed that. Like, that was the kind of impact it had. 100% right. He was the only adult in the room.
So yeah, let's go to the next game. So we're gonna talk about Wales versus Japan. We're gonna go through things chronologically. I mean, this is a big game, obviously, with implications for rankings and World Cup draws, all that sort of stuff. It's Wales' first win in Cardiff in almost 2 years or 2 seasons. They win 24 points to 23. It's a last-minute penalty from Jarrod Evans to secure it. Sean, I mean, I didn't watch the whole game, but for me, I'm just like, I mean, I think there's good things for Wales. I think there's certain aspects where, okay, they fought through it. They really got themselves through. Ollie Kraken was player of the match. He was ridiculous with regards to the tackles and the carries that he had. Like he's, I think, second for total carries, tackles, and rucks for this weekend. So he had a really busy game. So I see the positives for Wales. I kind of want to start with Japan though. I think there's some good things happening there. I think the attack is sort of coming together well. I do worry that they don't have maybe as stronger forwards as they did in 2015 and 2019. There's no, obviously Leach is now a lot older. They don't have a short Hori. They don't have like the props that they had in the 2010s or Himeno. So that might be a problem, but the attack at times tore Wales apart. They really got opportunities. They probably are kicking themselves at the moment, being like, this was a game they could have won and probably should have won by more than seven.
I do want to apologize to Japan because I didn't really watch this game until the second half when I realized, well, hang on a second, it's on. I really thought Wales were going to take this and going to take it well. Kind of wrote Japan off. I was like, yeah, anyway, that's my own fault. They they were so good though. They like you're right, it's that attack and how they do it. They seem to be managing Eddie Jones is great in this aspect. Like you kind of manage with the players that you have. Like
Yeah,
Eddie Jones had that plan. You probably find Eddie Jones had planned this whole game out right down to that last minute in terms of what happened. Um, just a rush of blood to Harry Hawkins on debut. He goes and that potentially was a horrendous tackle. It was a very bad tackle. And that from that penalty, Wales got on and kicked to the corner. They get another penalty and win it. That's how close Japan were. They were like 90 seconds away from winning the game. Their attack is great. Like the backs they've got and how they're doing it and how they're working it is something that I think um, is not. It's something that will be ingrained in them moving forward. It's not an individual player that's doing all of this stuff and everyone's just running off it. It looks very much like a backline cohesion and everyone's kind of in the right space. So that's really good and positive. Um, they have lost a lot of players up front. Obviously, Labuskaghni is another big one. I know he wasn't
yeah,
around for too long, but like just big bodies. But Warner Dearns has been huge for them. Um, they've got a couple of
yeah,
guys coming through. I think they just need like physically bigger guys, but they've got enough to be competitive. And I know like it's Wales in Wales. Like it's big. I don't care how poor Wales are. It's pretty big. You can let that moment get away from you. It was, I wouldn't say it was sold out, but it was full, possibly sold out. So yeah, it's just unlucky. And Eddie Jones wrapped it up perfectly at the end of the game. He was just like, he was pissed off. He's like, that game was ours to win and we threw it away.
yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Wales was staring down the barrel of a loss to Japan on home soil.
Yeah. Look, just to illustrate just how attacking Japan was, all of their starting backline players made over 30 meters and they beat at least two defenders. So Yazaki gets 107 meters and beats three defenders. Osada on the left wing, he has 93 meters and beats five defenders. So like, and all of them have like, I think apart from Saito and the one wing, Ishida, they all have like more than 10 carries. So the ball's getting to them and they realize, okay, this is our strength. Let's get the ball to them, which is, I mean, we talked about in the previous part of Italy, is like, hey, you have, Menoncello and Breaks and Capozzo, they get them the ball and they only had like four carries and three carries and one carry. So, that's how you need to play a game like this. Look, on the Welsh side, like, I mean, we mentioned Cracknell, he was great. I mean, Dafford Jenkins is kind of made for a game like this as well, just making tackles constantly. Alex Mann, I think, did a really good job of deputizing for Jack Morgan himself. Look,
Man's a good player.
yeah, I think he's really, really good. Yeah. I think, Sean, I don't even think performance matters for Wales right now. Like, this game was about getting a win. Now, obviously, they're facing New Zealand, South Africa. That's going to be a different contest. That will be maybe more about performance. But this was just get one more point than the opposition. And that's literally what they did.
100%. If it was like, if you won 5-6, it would have been fine. Like, it really didn't matter. Just freaking take it. It just turned out to be an absolute cracking game. The biggest thing that, excuse me, the biggest thing that Wales will take out of this is how they were literally, the game was essentially over and they had one chance to go on and win it. They kicked to the corner, they got a penalty, and they went and started that penalty. Like, just the way they went about it was brilliant. Interesting, Japan ran for over 1,000 meters, which doesn't happen often, and it happened twice this weekend because Argentina went and did it on Sunday. So, like this weekend, we've come out of two games where the one team's run for 1,000 meters, which is huge. But yeah, it was crazy. There were Adams as well. Uh, yeah. I initially saw that and I was like, oh, it's probably not going to be a red because we've seen so much of that not being red carded, like maybe yellow sent to the bunker, stuff like that. Yeah, red carded, 100% right. Just a silly freaking clean out frustration. That's 2 weeks in a row. The Welsh players have lashed out to hurt someone. That's the difference between trying to absolutely smash someone in a tackle and drive him back, and compare that to a flipping shoulder to the head down, clear out, or a kick to the face. So yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, but also not the best yellow cards also for Japan with the Novitia and Makisi, just also some late hits or over the shoulder hits. So like, yeah, just ill discipline, not really, yeah, like just coming against both teams there. I mean, we'll see now. I mean, I think Japan plays Georgia next, which is going to be quite an interesting game for both teams to see where they are. Like, I think they're pretty much similar in a similar position in their rankings. Yeah, obviously with Wales and New Zealand, like facing New Zealand next, it's yeah, let's say we're not going to look at the scoreboard. It's going to be about what the performance is, and hopefully that they can build some momentum from this game because I think there is some nice things. I'm a big Dan Edwards fan. I think I really like him at 10. I think I don't know if the forwards are the best forwards, but I think this might be obviously with the likes of Morgan coming in. This could be maybe the pack that sort of takes them forward. So yeah, hopefully other things can come together. Let's go to the 9 p.m. games or the 10 p.m. games. We had Ireland face Australia. Let's go to that one first. So Mack Hansen hat trick, record Ireland win against Australia. Biggest points margin, most points they've scored 6 tries. And they just looked like Ireland again. Like we kind of talked about in the Springbok pod that like the attack was coming together, the kicking game came together. I think Australia lost 6 lineouts, and I don't know if they retained any of the kicks that Ireland had, but yeah, Ireland just were really good this weekend.
So good. Ryan Baird, he put his hand up big time. I, I like him. I think like he's basically a backline player and a forwards body, but he can also play lock or blindside. Excellent. He's gonna have a pretty. He's gonna be a bit of a pest to many opposition for many a year. James Lowe, I thought was pretty handy. He was bring back his big kicks again, and then obviously Prendergast was good. Probably one of his better games. But Mack Hansen first starts at 15, first game back, first test start at 15, should I say, and then he scores a 27-minute hat trick. Just unbelievable. I was so interested by this. I was a bit worried about it. I thought this would be a target point for Australia. He's just come back from injury. He doesn't play 15 too much. We all know that the space that he's got, he's going to do something. But I thought you could wrap him up a little bit. And yeah, he was having none of that. What a game. What a game. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think he's showing that he can do a lot of the 15 stuff that you want. He's great under the high ball. He does that, I guess, more of a Aussie rules, just sort of catching the ball almost on top of his head like this.
He has to because he's so short.
Look, fair enough, actually. Yeah, I mean, kicking is decent. Just the way that he can come into a line is great. I mean, we've seen that before at wing because Farrell gives his wings as much sort of attacking freedom as possible. So then when everything is kind of working together, then you have a threat like that. Look, with all three of the tries, it was just a matter of Ireland just sucking in the Australian defense. And I don't know why the Australian defense then gets so narrow that they're all within 20 meters of each other. And then it's just, yeah, you just sort of get that pendulum going and you put Hudson through. But yeah, he's able to pick a gap. He's able to he's able to put himself in there, and he has that instinct being a playmaker himself. It's good though because he did that while Tommy Bryan had a good game. You said Lowe already had a decent game as well. So when Keenan comes back, there's options now because you have those three. You have Keenan, you have Osborne. There is now more options than there were maybe a year or two ago when it just felt like if one of Lowe, Hansen, or Keenan is out, there's problems. So I think that was great. Sam Prendergast, I watched most of the second half, or at least a good chunk of it. And then I saw the highlights of the first half. His kicking out of hand was ridiculous. He had the ball on an absolute string. He was able to put, the pressure kicks, the attacking kicks were great. The one kick to Tom O'Brien for the try was so good that he did it as he was getting tackled by Swali'i. That one cross kick that was ruled out for the try, gorgeous. He's really, I think this was his best game in an Ireland jersey. Yeah, and I think the forwards were great. I think they just really, overpowered Australia essentially. We talked about Baird, sorry. Doris, I think, was great at 7. I think he's genuinely the second best 7 in Ireland at the moment. And I think the forwards just did a really good job. McCarthy, I think Paddy McCarthy was really good. And he showed that Andrew Porter doesn't have to play 79 minutes in every test match, which I think is a big positive.
Yeah, Prendergast, he's tall and skinny, eh? He's that guy's got no meat on the bone, man. It's very. Well, I saw him in the jersey. I was just yo, he's a real skinny guy. But yes, he was good. I think I don't like this Doris Conan on the same time thing. I think Doris is best at 8.
Yeah,
we obviously know Conan is best at 8, but I would rather have Conan on the side of the scrum and have Doris at 8. I think as much as you say, Ireland need options, they've got options in the back three. I think their loose trio is a little bit under pressure at the moment. They've got that starting lineup, but on the bench it gets a bit funny. I'm so glad that Nick Timoney is getting a chance. He totally deserves it.
Yeah,
but to have Timoney and Prendergast come on against the Springboks, if they do, I don't know, we obviously haven't seen the team yet, is going to be something I think that we'd look at that and go, that's cool. It's fine by us, So yeah, obviously Burn moved back to the to lock, so they've got that option on blind side. Yeah, they've got some options. Jamison Gibson Park, the whole world, and I'm talking about the Irish rugby world revolves around that man. If he doesn't have a good game, they won't have a good game. And then the worst part about it is when they play him he had to play on the wing stroke 15. I can't even remember where, but it reminded me of when they put Dupont on, but not at nine. So he started at nine and then they moved him into the back line. He wasn't playing anywhere specific. He was playing where he thought he should be. And that's what Gibson Park was doing.
Yeah.
Just a complete roaming role, coming in at 10 or coming in at 9 to get quick ball, or coming in at 15. That kick at the end where, I mean, he claps his hand to get the ball, gets it, kicks for the corner, and they score. Yeah, so it was the perfect game at the perfect time for Ireland this year, and that's because they are facing us on Saturday, and we have been just steamrolling people. Like, they needed this desperately, because I don't believe that if they brought this game only against us, they would have survived. Because it would kind of be them coming into the mix and be like, oh, this is working. Now they've got a little bit of confidence and they can push it out, roll it out some more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they're also doing this with some players that they don't have. I mean, Joe McCarthy would be a big help to this team as well. Obviously, Van der Fleer and Ringrose didn't play. I thought Timini and Prendergast did really well off the bench. Like, also probably close to their best performances for Ireland. I mean, considering that they only play against Japan and Samoa and those sort of teams, like I think it was quite decent that because even if Van der Fleer comes in, I think there's a decent chance that one of them is on the bench with Van der Fleer or with Conans probably. So I think it's good that maybe you can see if Nick Timini or Prendergast can play against the Springboks, can sort of play in the last 20 minutes, and are they able to, show themselves and make an impact in that game? That's going to be a big question because I think Henderson is still not available. So I think you're going to basically have Bed be your reserve lock while he's
Yeah.
on the field as the flank.
James Ryan had a good game.
Yeah.
He's actually had a good November. And
Yeah, he's not playing Will Skelton.
yeah, this is true. This is very true. I also feel that that was a problem spot that Ryan has just gone in and just been like, okay, it's cool. And then now Farrell doesn't have to worry about it too much, which I think is huge. He's been very good. I mean, I know he's super experienced and he's talented, but they've been struggling there. He hasn't been the best. I think he did have a bit of injury issues. So having him back there, just doing that, plugging that gap is massive.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, a lot of the things that they've had issues with were solved this week, or weren't problems this weekend at least. Lineup was at 100%. They didn't concede as many penalties or got themselves like a red card. The attack was efficient again. Like, it wasn't like an issue of them sort of wasting opportunities. I think their conversion rate was 3.8 per 22 entry. That's really, really good. And they had 12 entries, so that was great. I think their defense was mostly good. I don't know. Yeah, I think they wouldn't have wanted to concede 3 tries to Australia. And, a lot of the players that have been looking iffy on form have showed at least some good moments. Like Bandy Aki was great. James Lowe had a pretty good game. Hansen, we've talked about. McCloskey seems like he's out now for the rest of or he's out for this weekend, unfortunately. So that's a big loss because I think he's more suited for a Springbok game than Aki is, honestly. So I would have looked forward to him playing. So
I think Aki is best suited to start. Like, I don't care who he's playing, but you can't have him on the bench. That's how I see him. Like, I would rather you start Bundy Aki and then you make changes 45, 55, 50 minutes into the game if he's not working. But I do think Aki's got a lot to offer. I suspect he will start this week and he's going to come out smoking.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he loves these games. And look, Ireland, I think, maybe because of the familiarity with the URC, maybe it's kind of like what happens with like the All Blacks and the Wallabies before this, is they kind of feel comfortable playing against us. They know what to expect from us. Like, yeah, so I think this game will be still really good, even if Ireland's not at top form. But I do agree with you. This game was great because Ireland's not going to come in with some momentum as opposed to they've just lost or they were scratched against Australia and now they're coming against the box steamrolling machine. On
Yeah.
Australia, I don't know what to do with them. I'm kind of thinking, Shaun, let's just write off this tour. They're clearly tired. They had a big year with the Lions. Then they went to South Africa. then the rugby championship. Maybe they're just tired.
It's so weird. I don't know either. It's probably the it's they could really have done with a game, another game before the Lions tour, and then basically just had tier 2 games this November. Like, like Georgia, Wales, Italy. Not
Wow.
Italy. I can't play them twice. But yeah, it's just been tough. It's been a long year. Things haven't worked out. This Joe Schmidt thing is so bizarre to me. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand what's going on. As like, are we? I have a feeling that we're gonna wake up tomorrow and Les Kisses be like, listen, I'm not taking the Wallaby job anymore. Like, I'm done. That's what I feel is going to happen. It's so, I don't know what's going on, and it's just strange. I don't know. You're right. Whatever. Just leave it. Give it up or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean injuries also aren't helping, so they don't. And I think we've talked about this, and you've made this point before. Like Australia don't have the depth to sustain like the injuries that they have, like no Skelton, no excuse me, no Skelton, no Tom Wright. Like they have issues at fly half, like they've lost a few scrum halves as well. Like they just don't have enough to be able to keep things going. So that then makes you like maybe you can hold on if you're top with your 15, and then when your bench comes on, that's when our scores are widening out because they've also now for the second time in or third week in a row have had a weaker second half. Actually, fourth week because they had a weak second half against Japan, weak second half against England, weak second half against Italy, and now to Ireland as well. Like they just don't have the depth in the rest of that bench to sustain the efforts. And, yeah, I mean, you look at that bench, Tom Robertson and Zayn Nongo are decent, but not great props. Ryan Lonergan and Tane Edmund, we talked about that before this weekend. Maybe, Kellaway and Tazana aren't necessarily at the top form, whereas earlier in the year, like they were able to have Angus Bell coming off the bench and Ala Toa was coming off the bench and Valentini had some time coming off the bench and Tate McDermott was probably the best, scrum of impact player for a time there. So it's just, yeah, like I think they're really losing those like resources. And I am quite scared for them for this France game because I think France are angry now from two iffy performances. They need to get a win at Stade de France. Yeah, this could get ugly if they don't. Yeah, if they don't sort of dig in, they could get an ugly result here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's weird. Like I'm tired for them. It's been a long year and I'm not even involved. So they just kind of need to just wrap it up and go home. They need to go home, give everyone some legit time off. They can all prepare for Super Rugby in like late January. So don't even send them to their Super Rugby regions for preseason. They can miss all of that. Get the new coach in the new year. The coach can send everyone a hi, welcome. I'm your new guy, just introducing myself, and then they can start the long year ahead of no rugby championship. So Les Kiss gets eased in gently.
Yeah. So this is if Australia doesn't win on Saturday against France, this will be the first time since the 1950s that they haven't won a game in the Northern Hemisphere tour. They will then have one win in 7 games. So they currently have one win in 6. Yeah, like
Wow.
I mean, I think we said at the start of the thing, they needed a result against either Ireland or France. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now. They just need to make it respectable against France at this stage. Like that's going to be the challenge for them.
Maybe going to France is maybe it's a good shot. Like
Mhm.
get to Paris, spend the week, just chill, go and have baguettes and whatever you and Cooks were up to for a week, and just go and like you know what I mean? Almost treat it like a bye week
Yeah.
with or Barbarians week. Treat it like a Barbarians week. Just go out and enjoy. Go have steak and red wine. Go do 2 training sessions, like no pressure. It's Joe's last game. like all of us, like let's just enjoy it. Joe's last game. Will Skelton can join. All the guys can just pull in and they can just, it can be good vibes. And then they can just go out with no pressure.
Yeah.
Then that's how I feel this week should be. Um, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, treat it like a
Thank you.
barbarian's week with a little bit more respect.
I do hear you. I think that could help. I mean, especially if it's Joe's last game, um, because you don't even have to have this responsibility. I genuinely think there is an element of just tiredness. So maybe we don't need to do too much. Have your fun. At least come into the game relaxed. Like maybe that makes some sort of difference. Let's go to the France game. Very entertaining game. I think we kind of called it correctly, Sean, where we said it could be like a 40-20 type of game, and it kind of worked out that way. So France were leading 21-0, seemed like it was all fine. They then saw themselves drawing with Fiji 21-21 at the start of the second half, Fiji doing Fiji things and just scoring crazy tries. Like, you have the likes of Wayne Kolo and Rava Tomada, like they're able to just get tries from pretty much nothing. And then France just got some control back in the next 10 minutes, got themselves out again with, two penalties from Ramos and then the second try from Depoortere. So, you can still win after conceding 21 points and conceding 21-point lead. Scotland, we'll get to you just now. Um, Look, I know, Sean, you didn't really watch this game. I think my summary from it, because I watched at least a decent chunk of it, was good things are Aldrit and Ollivon looked great again. So I think that's really good. Like, I kind of felt like they were being phased out somewhat, but Ollivon at lock could actually be a good thing. So I think that's a possibility, an option for them as a reserve lock in their 6-2 bench.
With the best moustache in the world of rugby.
Someone said on Blue Sky he's too handsome to play lock, which I think is a fair point. But I think he could really do a job there at number 4 and kind of be like the Flamel like replacement. Like he can run the line out. He's obviously a leader. He was a French captain before this. I mean, bringing him on in the last 20 minutes of a World Cup quarterfinal against the Box or something like that, I think that'll be really good.
You're not losing anything. You're actually gaining so much more. And I did see his try. Man still got wheels. Like,
Yeah,
he can still play.
he can still play it. Aldrit was really good. I think that was really awesome. Like, I don't know about this Gayard playing at 8 experiment, but yeah, I think Greg Aldrit, he should be number 8 this weekend and going forward. Like, I think he was just tired for the last 2 years. Like, he's been playing so much rugby. So, and obviously in France, you play like 63 games in the top 14. So I think he was just tired.
And
Um,
obviously, emotionally for La Rochelle, I mean, going back to back on the Champions Cup and then still trying to secure a top 14. And,
uh,
there's plenty rugby there for him. Poor
yeah.
guy.
So Depoortere was fantastic. Obviously scored 2 tries. He bounced Tuisova. He absolutely destroyed him, which I think I would put that in my CV and just make sure that everyone knows that I did that to Tuisova. It's ridiculous. And then they had Jegu and Boudon play at center because Barassi and Gaeton both had injuries. I think both actually head injuries. They so then the 2 flanks were deputizing there at the midfield. I think Jegu played mostly in the midfield. Boudon sort of came in and out a bit. So yeah, anything Kwacha or Estesen can do, these French flanks can do as well. But I think there's a bit of problems because they weren't really getting the ball much in this game. And it just felt like the attack wasn't really getting going. Like, I don't know if they were kind of pushing it. I don't know if it's because they were playing in Bordeaux and it was kind of like unfamiliar, but it just felt like passes weren't really coming to hand. Like the French attack and sort of them, even like in the Springbok game where things that weren't necessarily at 100% full noise, like you could see sort of aspects of it. It wasn't quite coming along for them. Like, just didn't feel like the connection between the inside and the outside backs was happening. And, that like telekinesis that Intermark has with Ramos and with the wings was quite happening. So it just felt like things were quite laborious. And then they just also weren't having ball. And I don't know if giving Fiji 60% of possession territory is the right thing to do, Sean. I think that's a painful decision to make. So on the other hand, Fiji were just, I think, really good with the ball in hand and obviously showed the threat that they had. I think they'll just feel bit, and the commentator that I in the version of the game I watched was making the point like Fiji's going to feel bad because a lot of the tries came from their own mistakes, and it was generally just Depoortere and Barassi targeting loose forwards that were in the back line that weren't supposed to be there and just turning on the pace against them. So Fiji could have really given themselves more of a chance to make an upset here.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I was on watching the other one, but I did notice that France only had one scrum. Fiji had
Yeah.
five. So that's probably where like played well, not probably, pretty sure played directly into Fiji's hands. Like they do like a little bit of a loose game. So yeah, it seems like a game I should probably go and watch. But I've also seen a couple of people say that it really wasn't a great game. It was a great extended highlights game as opposed to a great game all round.
Literally the perfect description for that game. Like, highlights are going to hit so well, but I think there's the 20 minutes highlights are fantastic. The other 16 minutes that you cut out are worth cutting out, basically. Yeah.
Lovely.
I think France should, I think in a game like this, France kind of can get tricked into trying to outflare a team like this. They always do this to Scotland as well. They need to just learn we're going to kick 35 times, 40 times. We're going to bore the crap out of Fiji. Like that's the kind of thing that they need to do. So that's where I'm saying with this game against Australia, Shaun, that I don't want to be Australia because I think France now have had 2 weeks of tension kind of building up and like the game not
Yeah.
coming together. This could be now the game that they sort of put things together, especially as we talked about before. Australia doesn't have like a rush defense. They have a we'll wait for you to do your thing and then we'll tackle you maybe at the end defense. So
You can't do that against a cooking French side.
yeah. So I don't know. McWright has to have the best game ever. Maybe you must play McWright and Tizano together and just at least put pressure on the French ruck because you're not going to do that through the scrum. Is Skelton going to be back?
I hope so. Um,
That could help.
there, I'm pretty sure there's two games that Will Skelton wants to play every year. That's against Ireland and against France. So,
Yeah, I would love. I mean, yeah, Skelton versus Miafu would be a great clash as well. Sure, let's get to Scotland versus Argentina.
you have been waiting. I'm so excited that you get to speak about this because you've been taking, punching them good body shots, and now you're going to go in for the kill. Let's have it.
Okay, Scotland are leading 21-0. I was at church. I checked my phone and I'm like, oh, Scotland has got this. I thought this would be a tight game, all good. You know, at church, doing our thing, the church service ends and like it's a bit of a travel from there to get back home. I was like, oh, I'm not going to check my phone for that game. I'm going to check what's happening with the tennis because Scotland probably won that by like 5 points, 10 points. Argentina's tired, all the things. I get home and I'm just like, literally do a double take of how is it now 33 points to 24 that this game ends? And someone, I think it's Kevin Miller on Twitter, was saying that in the last 25 minutes, Scotland's last 5 games against sides ranked in the top 12, the aggregate score is 6 points to 87 for the opponents in those last 25-minute periods and games. So in this game, they concede 5 tries and 33 points in that last quarter of the game. Because when I watched the highlights this morning, I was like, okay, maybe Argentina started coming back like at halftime or at the start of the second half. It was pretty much 25 minutes that they did all of this. That is unforgivable for Scotland. You know what? I've been kind of in the camp of not necessarily that Townsend should stay, but I've also been like, I don't know if another coach can improve much because I think Scotland's maybe also playing at the peak of their powers because they just don't have the depth that France has or South Africa has. Like they aren't able to maximize things like Ireland are doing right now. So maybe, Franco Smith isn't able to maybe get more out of them and make them win a Six Nations. But I know Franco Smith's not going to make them concede 33 points in 25 minutes. That's where I'm just like, how are you losing your heads that much when you have a team that's been together for almost 8 years now? You have 11 lines or however many lines you have. You have all these world-class players, and you're still able to do this sort of rubbish. I don't understand it.
It's exactly that, losing your heads. It's not a, a tactic or a anything. It's literally the top 5 centimeters that is between the ears that is breaking down. It is so it's so weird. Um, the best part about this as a neutral is we getting to watch this Argentina side do something like this because they've threatened a lot to be this team because you could argue that this is the best version of Argentina that we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, and they're confident. They've never had a problem traveling. Yes, they've taken big pastings at home and away, but they've also had some big wins, and this year's been a big one. And they have the ability to build on it next year. Even if next year's a little bit up and down, they can still draw on this before the World Cup. So like this is pretty good for them. They've got a lot of youngsters coming through. They've got a lot of old heads that can still be around for another World Cup. Like it's really looking good for them. Scotland, I don't know. It's th- they're game drivers of theirs that are playing really well. Like everyone was under fire for Scotland from the fans, and I don't see it as all of them being the issue. Yes, Finn Russell, Sione Tuipulotu, Carl Steyn, Blair Kinghorn, um, Pierce Schoeman, Gregor, not Gregor Brown, but like Jamie Doby, like Rory Dodge. You want those guys to be pulling everyone in and just be like, let's calm it down or let's do a something. I don't know. It's so weird. Like I can't pinpoint something that they did wrong. Like everyone is saying Finn Russell's pass that resulted in a try was the game. It wasn't the game.
No.
It changed momentum a little bit, but not so much so that they went from 21-0 up to losing by 9 points. Like it's not like they were 10-0 ahead. They were 21-0 ahead.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so weird. Finn Russell's going to be doing that all the time. Like Finn Russell, I think, has been excellent. His defense has been a little bit iffy, but he, like everyone's was during that period of time. It's so weird. And I was so excited because they moved Carl Steyn to 13 as well. So I was like, this is it, guys. This is my moment. This is my ego moment. He's gonna, and listen, he didn't do anything wrong. That's the thing. You look at that and you're just like, no one really did anything wrong when Argentina were just steamrolling them. It's not like they were coasting through the midfield or they were picking around the rucks and offloading because the pillars and posts weren't there. They were just coming with waves and waves of attack with an extra 3 people on the field. And Scotland got sucked in. They were too narrow and just couldn't. Um, I'm going to have a go. I think Darcy Graham and Blair Kinghorn need to have serious conversations with themselves. I don't know where Kinghorn's form has fallen off. It fell off somewhere in the ocean on a flight from France to Scotland because it's so weird. Darcy Graham, suspect on defense. Um, like Darcy, I remember watching Darcy Graham and he's just scoring tries and doing stuff, but I never watched him play and thought this guy's a bad defender. But for the
Mhm.
last 2 weeks, he's been poor. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, is Tui Palatu like does the whole thing break down uh because Hugh Jones is not there? Like, is that you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you left asking those questions, like what is missing? What is going on? Because Jack Dempsey was a beast.
Yeah.
Like he is playing some of the best rugby he has ever played. But and he works hard. The thing is he's not a line breaker kind of a guy. Like he's a flippin' hard worker. And he does all his stuff. Everyone's doing their stuff and it's not coming through in the end. I don't understand. It's not the bench. It's not individual players. When you look at those numbers that you spoke of those last 5 games or whatever, like it's so weird. It's like they just disappear. Duan van der Merwe is not a bench player for me. You must
But
start him or
then
not play him.
why play a specialist off your bench? I don't understand that.
And he wasn't getting balls, so he did bugger all anyway.
I mean, sure, you're trying to get the game back, but if you're not going to put him in a position to actually get the ball, he only got two carries. Like, what's the point? So Scotland,
I'm sorry, Tom Jordan. Why did they wait until the end of the game to bring on Tom Jordan?
so yeah,
Um,
like, literally
George
what I'm
Horn
saying now.
didn't get minutes. Nathan
What, do
Macbeth didn't get minutes.
what the flip is going on there? So
It's Gregor.
So then that's where I'm like, okay, this is the coaching. And I think Scotland's had a big problem with their bench for a while, where either they just select a random 6-2 and you're just like, okay, but this 6-4 is not going to make an impact here. Like, what's the point of having them there? Rather get a Kyle Steyn there or Rory Hutchinson that can at least give your backline a bit of rumor. Or they do this where they just don't sub on players. Usually they do both actually, where they just are like, well, no, we trust Finn and Blair and those sort of players. And this is like, well, it's not working. You need to change something. And obviously, either like we said with Finn last week, he's maybe injured, you need to get him off. Or Kinghorn, like it's just not working for him in these last 2 weeks. Like get him off, get someone on, try to change the game somehow. I think Scotland could have I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I feel like just looking at their kicking stats, like, did they try sort of just getting the ball out of their half and just kicking and just trying to sort of get some sort of territory because they lost both the territory and the possession game? Are they doing like one thing I really love that South Africa does when they're under pressure is they'll slow the game down completely. They will, maybe take a few tactical like shoelace untied and contact lenses are not straight and all that sort of stuff and just slow the intensity of the game down, especially when you're at home. You can kind of use that to your advantage. But it just feels like when these things hit Scotland, and we've seen it against Ireland, we've seen it against the Boks in New Zealand, sometimes against France. They have actually a pretty decent record against France, but we've seen them just, they kind of get like glassy-eyed and they kind of just let the momentum just take them away when a team sort of roars back into a game. Like, I think it's been 2 years in a row where they've almost lost to like the worst Wales team ever because Wales has a big second half and they come back from like 30 points down or something like that. Like, they're just such a horrible second half team. So I don't know what Greg is saying in the changing room. I don't know
Or not.
why Greg can't use his bench. And it's a clear issue that has sort of persisted for the last few weeks or last few years, actually. It needs to change. And these are the things where you're just like, I don't know how you can be justified in staying in your position then.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just so, I don't know where to go. Like, I'm trying to, so this is what, like, so the problem is Scotland are playing Tonga this weekend. I don't think that's the best thing for them right now. Like, not because I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to win comfortably, and then that's going to be the end of the year. And then they need to prepare for the Six Nations. But honestly, I look at this, like if I had to look at this match day 23 now, I would I would put Jordan at 15, or I would start Jordan at 12 and move to Pilatu to 13. Okay, so I would put Kinghorn on the bench. I have no problem with Kinghorn coming off the bench. He can play 15, play on the wing. Worst case scenario, he can play in the midfield. I think he has played the midfield, but that's really at 12. That's really long down the line. Or you rest Russell and you put Jordan, but I wouldn't rest Russell because I think he's too valuable for them on attack. They don't score half those points without him. More than half. Maybe move Steyn to 13. Not that Hutchinson was terrible, missed a couple tackles, but he holds it up there. Maybe move Steyn to 13, and then you put Jordan at 15 and put Kinghorn on the wing, or you put Duan van der Merwe on the wing. Like, change something, do something. Like, how's Horn not getting game time when not so long ago, like he was winning matches for you? You know what I mean? Um, it's just so strange. Like, they've got other options. What about Christie, who plays for Saracens?
Yeah.
He came back from injury. He's fit. He's not getting a look in. He's a flippin' hard. You need someone that's going to come off the bench and that's going to elevate something. Whether it's just the intensity of getting to the breakdown, like I don't know. It's so weird. Ferguson didn't have his best game coming back, but we know Ferguson is better than that, so he's going to stay. It's just so I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Gregor Brown thing, I get it, but maybe he's also maybe a better impact player, just especially now we maybe don't have the locks after Cummings and Gilchrist. So you have Brown sort of coming in at lock in the last 20 minutes. I think it makes a big difference. And then you can still play, a Ferguson with Dempsey and Dodge. That's not a problem. But yeah, Sean, I guess there's an over-reliance on certain players and they're just not producing. Like Finn Russell had 5 missed tackles, Kinghorn had 4, Darcy Graham had 4, and Hutchison had 3. So that's already 16 missed tackles from
That's
4
all your
back in the
outside
games.
backs. That's all your outside backs.
Yeah, that's just terrible. So it's just not working. Something is just not right. Like obviously I mean, to be fair to them, they've just changed their defensive coach because he's now the coach of Wales. So maybe that's a part of it. But I mean, I don't think that would then make your like backline miss tackles. And I think that was a big problem even in the New Zealand game where there's some one-on-one tackles that King was just not getting to. But yeah, I'm just so tired of this because Scotland are just kind of playing the same movie every freaking week with and it's just not changing. Quickly on Argentina, really good win. Just really mature performance actually in that second half and just taking the game away from them. And you are right, like there's some really nice young players that are coming through. Like I think Korea Machetti, the prop, is in his mid-20s. Elias is also quite young. Giusto Picardo, I think, is like 21. He scored the match-winning try. Like there's things like the Super Rugby Americas is working for them. It's actually getting them players through. So that's, I think, a really good, like, positive for them. Carreras was fantastic off the bench. They found Prishantelli as well. Like, the backline is sorted, basically. Like, I mean, they're doing this without Sinti, without Boffelli. Their loose forwards are sorted. Um,
Boffelli. I thought about him again this weekend because I forgot about him and I was thinking, holy smokes,
he's
he's still going
still,
to come back.
yeah,
That guy was like, they could not start it. They would not play a game and win if he didn't play for at one
yeah.
stage. He was doing their kicks, he was doing everything.
He literally won the match last time they were in Twickenham against England. So it's literally just the tight five or the front row in particular. Once they sort out their props, this is going to be a serious team and hopefully can be a much more consistent team. But look, again, you shouldn't be 21-0 down. I think that's also something we should say to Argentina. Like the first 50, 60 minutes, you were not really there, but you did really well to come back. So England versus Argentina, obviously England are feeling themselves. Henry Pollock was licking his lips during the haka. I don't know if you saw the TikTok that Tommy Freeman posted. It was Freeman, Finn Smith, Pollock, and Stewart doing like a TikTok dance. It's really bad. Like in women's rugby, they
Yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah.
talks and everything, and that's actually quite good. This was terrible.
Really, eh?
They should stop it. As in
Well, they're
like
not going to
quality
stop
wise
it.
of the dancing.
I just want to say something. All anyone ever spoke about, and listen, if the roles were reversed, we would have spoken about it too.
Yeah.
All ever anyone spoke about after they beat the All Blacks was we wish we were playing the Springboks because you want to measure yourself against the best and everything. And I completely forgot that they were facing Argentina this weekend.
Yeah.
My oh my, would it be embarrassing if they slipped up this weekend after being like heirs to the throne all of a
Yeah.
sudden to your. This is a big game.
It'll be hilarious. I really hope it happens. I so wish it happens. It needs to happen. Like, we need that content. Sure, just finally, we can talk about it for a few minutes. So, World Rugby has finally decided to announce what's happening at this Nations Championship. So, for those that are not aware, from next year, there's going to be a cross hemisphere tournament that happens once every 2 to 4 years. We're still trying to decide on that. Basically, setting up a test calendar that all the Southern Hemisphere teams plus Japan, which is now in the Southern Hemisphere for this purpose, play all the Northern Hemisphere and the Six Nations team. So they play 3 of them at home, 3 of them away in the July and the November test windows. So for the Springboks, for example, in July, we host Scotland, England, and Wales. Great. And then in November, we go up and we face France, Ireland, and Italy, which is literally the 3 games we have now. Then in the last weekend of November, there's like a finals weekend. So the top team from the Southern Hemisphere with, the games against the Northern Hemisphere in the log, they face the top team in the Northern Hemisphere. And then second versus second, third versus third, and all the way it goes down. And then obviously the winner of the final is the winner of this nation's championship. But then they're also going to do like an award for the best performing hemisphere. I don't know how they're going to kind of work that out, whatever. But in essence, this kind of sets up how the test calendar is going to look like next year in July and November. We know who we're going to play. I mean, nice, I guess, that there is this sort of variety, but in July, obviously traveling around Europe is much easier than traveling around the whole Southern Hemisphere. So in July, depending on where Fiji plays, because it doesn't look like Fiji will play at home, I think it looks like they're probably playing Europe. So England, Scotland, and Wales will play 1 week in South Africa, then go 9 hours back to play in Argentina, then go back to Europe to play Fiji or wherever Fiji's based. So in terms of player welfare and travel, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a mess.
Well, I hope they are a set part of the union so they can get business class tickets, because maybe they're going to be flying cattle class. I am going to go straight out and say I don't like this, and I've had time to think about it. I've been digesting it today. I was a little bit unsure about it, some clarity issues. I'm going to just say no. I don't like. So in 1 year, we've taken away the rugby championship, and we've taken away a potentially 3-match series against a country. But not only are we going to, because all ever anyone wants is tours, okay? So now we've got this massive tour against the All Blacks are coming to South Africa because everyone loves tours. And everyone spoke so much about the French tour to the New Zealand and all that. But now we're doing away with it for something that is kind of like a World Cup for something. Couldn't give a... No, it means nothing. It's not... Would we rather win this or the rugby championship? The rugby championship. What about those tier 2 nations? They're all playing each other, but none of them get to... Georgia don't get to play the Springboks.
Yeah.
Like England's tour in July was through the Americas. Didn't Scotland tour there as well? Or,
yeah.
That's all gone. Granted, it's every 2-4 years. I don't know. No, it's a no from me. I would much rather we played 3 tests against Wales or 2 tests against Georgia. I'd much rather that. I really would. I'd much rather Ireland tour. The last time Ireland toured the All Blacks, like massive. That was a series win. Like England last year, they're taking that away for a year, potentially 2 in a World Cup cycle. It matters, and we're falling into that super rugby, like, let's make everything big. No.
Yeah, I think you may raise a really good point, especially with like the tier 2, that there isn't that exposure for them. So, the likes of Tonga, Chile, Canada, the European sides, Georgia, Spain, they're pretty much are not going to play any of the tier 1 nations a year before World Cup.
100%. I'm so glad you brought that up. It only came to me much later. But yes, USA, Canada specifically. I mean, come on. It's such a...
Yeah.
No, it's
I
not.
guess this other side of it, at least for them, is that they now know they have 11 games next year. So for a team like Hong Kong or Zimbabwe, they have never had a calendar with 12 or with 11 games pretty much secured. So that's obviously a big positive. So yeah, there's gonna be I think there is potential for this, Sean. I kind of don't mind it, but it needs to be promotion relegation. But obviously the Six Nations and the Rugby Championship sides will never agree to that. And it
I
needs to
believe I
happen.
believe there is talk of that
Yeah, but it'll
for
never happen.
2030, but 100%. Like, let's say the Springboks go through a lump. Are they going to boot the Springboks out of this, and we're going to be playing like Zimbabwe and Canada and the States for 1 year? I
Yeah.
don't see that happening.
So yeah, I know that won't happen. Like we don't have enough like cross-tier matches happening. And yeah, I mean, look, obviously this is kind of self-inflicted on the Springbok side, but this is going to be quite a hectic test calendar now because you've got these 6 games, or 7 with the final. You've got your 4 games against New Zealand because you're playing 3 tests here in South Africa and then the 1 test wherever. And it seems like Australia and Argentina are really pushing that they get at least 1 test against the other sides. Yeah, like it's gonna
So
be
we've got more matches to add to our calendar.
yeah. I I don't know how
It's
they're
two
gonna
big years. I know we're playing less rugby next year than this year, but those are 2 big years.
yeah. So
That's why Russie's getting a 60-man squad together.
it's gonna be interesting actually seeing how the teams manage this and if teams actually go for it or if they just are like, well, this is just if we win it, we win it, but this is actually just preparation for the World Cup. I mean, clearly World Rugby and the top 14 don't talk to each other because the first weekend's games are a week after the top 14 finals. So we know that France can be sending some like unaccompanied minors essentially to their games. So I think France plays New Zealand the first weekend. So New Zealand will again be angry about the squad. So let's put that in
And then
the
it'll be
numbers.
a 3-point game.
Exactly. And then, yeah, so, a team like Ireland that wants to start rotating and finding options, are they going to be able to do this or do they want to go for this? I think it's kind of perfect for teams like England and South Africa that kind of know their squads but are also like experimenting. They could just be like, okay, cool, we'll sort of, play around with our flyers, play around with our loose forwards, play around with our centers, and sort of build depth while keeping our teams relatively, the same level of strength. Whereas, the likes of Ireland or New Zealand or kind of France are like, no, we need to find solutions for certain positions. So we need to kind of play our best teams in all of these big games. So yeah, I think that'll also be quite fascinating to look out for.
Yeah, I think there are more negatives than there are positives. There's always resistance to change, yes. Um, but it doesn't hold the same punch. What happens if they did this in a Lions year? Like, I understand the Lions teams will be depleted and one other team won't be available because the Lions need opposition. But that in a Lions year, I can probably buy into it because there's opportunity for all the sides to get involved and win. I suppose the opposition that the Lions are playing won't get any points on the log. Then they can go and play tier. I don't know. It just seems like they're taking more away from the game than giving to the game.
Yeah. Would you support this if this was just done for the like tier 2 nations? That they then have like a pretty much a test calendar sorted out for them. I think then that would be a good idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, it'll help them. There's incentive there for them. What's the incentive for the tier one nations? Nothing much,
Mm.
really. Like, we're not going to be busting our ass to get this trophy. If we didn't have a World Cup in our hemisphere, in our universe of rugby, and they brought this out, great idea. We have a World Cup. Like, if you win this thing 28 times in a row, no one gives a shit. Like, if we're honest.
Until they do, to be fair. Like in 20 years' time, if Ireland goes, we're the 6-time defending champions of this, and then people are
And
like,
then
oh,
we'll be like, have
this-
you made a semi-final of a World Cup? And then the fights will start, and then there'll be a breakaway league, and then we'll have like a them versus us once-off game, and oh. I don't know.
It could go many ways. Okay, Sean, I think let's wrap things up here. So yeah, we've covered everything that's happening in the rugby world, all the fixtures from the Automation series and the news with the Nations Championship. So please follow us on our social media channels for any other updates during the week. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We'll see if we'll do a preview podcast. We'll see when the teams come out and how we talk about things. Obviously, it's a big match between South Africa and Ireland, and England versus Argentina is also great, and France versus Australia, but um, we'll discuss whether we can do something later in the week. But you know where to find us. Please follow us on our social media channels so you can see the next time that we upload a podcast for you guys. So thank you for everyone for that. Bye-bye.
Bye.